Welcome. My name is Jason Tamborini, Artistic Director of Prologue Theater, and I'm here today with Michael Mobley, playwright of Monsters, which will be the third play in our Forward New Works series that we are workshopping. Welcome, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So we're just going to kind of jump right into these questions and, make it a casual chat. So I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm an emerging playwright from Prince George's County, Maryland. Very excited. Yeah. My work mainly centers on the intimate and private lives of Black Americans. And sometimes I tell those stories by using different genre conventions, like in
Okay.
Monsters. Yeah.
Awesome. And so what else are you doing? I already know some of the answers to these, but what are some of the other things you're doing that you've done? I mean, maybe even just today.
Well, went to the gym, did a little workout today. And I read do my daily reading that I do. And also I am preparing to close out my semester in grad school. So
Very cool. So,
very
and where are
busy.
you a student?
I'm a student at the University of Texas at Austin. Yeah.
Cool. In
I'm a
a
missioner
playwriting
fellow.
program?
Yeah, the play. Well, actually, I'm a missioner fellow,
Okay.
but my primary focus is playwriting. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And so do you have any other projects you're working on at this time, or is it you're focusing right now just mainly on monsters?
Um, no, I'm also working on, in addition to Monsters, I'm also working on a play about a group of friends who are trying to hold on to their friendship while the world is ending around them.
I
so I'll and I'll leave it at
this
that.
yeah, was this born during the pandemic potentially?
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I will say, look, as having read quite a number of the submissions for this series, it is a theme, a recurring theme throughout. And as we know, I mean, playwrights, not to be overly generic and widespread in making a comment about a group of people, but they tend to write what they know and what they are experiencing. So it's not all that unheard of. We have obviously been through a lot in the past few years, just as a
Yeah.
group of artists. So awesome. Um, I want to ask about your particular writing style and your writing routine. If you have a particular writing philosophy, you mentioned you do daily readings. Can you maybe tell us about that?
Yeah, I know people like to say, write every day. Well, I kind of do that, but I also am a huge supporter or advocate for reading every day. I think that
Hmm.
that's really important, especially if you want to be a writer, is that you really, I feel like I need to read. And also I feel like I haven't read enough. So every morning I'll read a couple of poems and I'll read a short story from a short story collection.
Hmm.
And at night, I'll read an essay or a chapter of a history book or a nonfiction book. Yeah. And then I'll try to fit a play or a novel during the week. And this is all on top of the readings for class that I have to do.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Well, yeah.
But yeah.
I totally understand though on that idea of it's hard to write if you don't read. Do
Right.
you have a particular writer or a poet that you feel really has made a big impact on your writing, on your work?
Yeah, I think one of DC's most I feel like he doesn't get enough due is Edward P. Jones. He's a Pulitzer Prize winning novelist, and all his work, except for his novels, is set in DC.
Hmm.
And I just really liked the way that he used a sense of place, because I feel like in my work, well, some people in my cohort at grad school say that in my work that a sense of place is really present in my work
Hmm.
and the way that I write. And I didn't know that. I didn't
I
know
mean,
that.
I would absolutely agree with having read the script. couple times
Yeah,
now. I mean, I would absolutely agree with that.
yeah,
Um, and it's kind of interesting that you don't notice that about yourself and about your writing until somebody points it out. That's
right.
very interesting. Um, cool. Do you have any other I mean, like the idea of always reading and that
Mhm.
read every day, write every day. Do you have any other particular pieces of like a writing routine or a specific writing philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, I will just write every day until, the draft or the rewrite is finished. Um, and and then also before I even start writing the play, I would have my own research. I'll do my own research of the play, even if it takes place like during like a pandemic, like that I've lived through. But I'll also but I've also like do research on it because there's other people who have because there've been other pandemics and have been other like epidemics and other things
Mm,
like that, and they'll help me because I do believe that art is in conversation with other art,
mm.
and nothing is really original. Nothing is really original. So I believe that I want my work to be in conversation with other pieces of art.
That's yeah. Art and conversation with art. There's your philosophy. Single statement. Done. Yeah. When I was in grad school, I read. I came across a book and read it cover to cover. I like couldn't put it down. It's a book called The Seven Basic Plots,
Mm,
and I love reading. I read every day, mostly fiction and scripts and plays. Every so often something nonfiction, but it like kind of ruined reading for me for a bit of just like, oh yeah, this is this. Oh well, this is
yeah,
this, or this is a combination of this. Um, but you're absolutely right though. That idea of art influencing art and art, just being there as part of that in that conversation with other art and itself at the same time. It's yeah,
right.
it's there. That's great. So I'm going to ask, what was you talked about your inspiration for this other play you're working on right now. What was your inspiration for Monsters?
Well, I was a haunted house performer. I only had got the job because I had got an internship um, at I'm not going to say the place. It's a very large institution in DC,
Okay.
but I had an internship there, and then I was working 40 hours for free. And I had to, so I had wanted to get like some extra cash or some extra cash. And I had applied for a job at Six Flags during the time it was like the fall, so it was that season. And so I was put into this haunted house with these other performers, and I realized that they were all Black men. We were majority Black men,
Hmm.
and just a thought like occurred to me that like people find us scary even without the mask and the costume on, because this is also like at the height of Black Lives Matter and
Wow.
racial injustice and stuff like that. And so then it led me to think about monsters and to have like almost like this sympathy
Hmm.
for people like Freddy Krueger or
Oh,
Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and all of that. And I thought to myself like, and I asked myself the question: Are monsters created or are monsters born? And that's like the really big question that really led me to writing the play. And also like there's like and then also there's like horror movies that was going on around this time, like Get Out and Midsommar, that I really loved. And and also growing up, I watched a lot of horror movies. I wouldn't say I'm a horror fan or a horror aficionado or anything like that,
hmm.
but I definitely watched a lot or a few of them.
Hmm.
And then also there's like no like horror plays that feature Black people in the starring role.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like Wait Until Dark, um, Death Trap, Misery, which is based off the novel by Stephen King, that was like produced on Broadway. Like I forgot what season, but it was like soon. But that didn't have any Black people. Carrie the musical. Like,
Yeah.
so there was like, so I wanted to also add into the canon for any Black people who wanted like who are like where are the horror plays? Like I want to play
Yeah.
in a horror play. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. I mean, I'm trying to think of any play that I would classify as horror, and most of them I can think of are more like murder mystery or
Yeah,
something like not or like almost a thriller, but it's more psychological in nature. It's not
yeah,
necessarily in the horror genre. That's interesting. And I do like what you said about that idea of like the monsters from monster movies and horror films. It's that not so veiled metaphor of just like the most misunderstood person or people or
right.
anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because I think we
Um,
all wonder like their origin stories about
oh yeah.
where
I
they
mean,
where these people are hunting these other people for. Yeah.
yeah. You look at, I mean, even the most, I guess, I mean, the most classic of all classic monsters in a monster movie, Dracula, and like you end
Hmm.
up with how many movies about like the origin of, or like books and all that, like the origin of vampires and what that really
Right.
is, and all of those. And there's just, I mean, hundreds of books about that.
Yeah.
So, and the answer to this might be nothing at this point. What would you say, if anything, has changed in your thinking about this play from when you first conceived it, or has anything changed?
Yeah. There was a character who had a monologue. Well, all three of them have monologues, but one of the characters, the name is Jovan. He's the youngest performer and the youngest character in the play, and he had this really long monologue that I kind of realized that it wasn't revealing anything about the character. It was revealing
Mm,
something totally different. And so I rewrote it before I submitted the play to the Forward series. Um, and I really want to hear this new monologue that I feel like reveals something different and reveal who he is
okay.
in the play. And so I want to see how to develop and how that monologue, the consequences of that monologue throughout the second half of the play. So that's one of the big things I'm looking forward to.
Cool.
And I'm also looking into like the very last scene, the very last moment of the play too.
Yeah. Um, so I mean, for any playwright, really, the workshop process can become a huge boost for their work, and give them, potentially any number of things, in that room. Obviously, the idea that you're finally getting a chance to hear it in from other people outside of your own head, is always is great. And I know a lot of playwrights who say, "Oh, I had some friends come over and they read the script out loud,"
Mhm.
um, which your friends might be Broadway actors or Hollywood actors, and that happens, and that's cool. But it's very rare.
Yeah.
So, but aside from just getting a chance to hear it out loud, is there anything about about any workshop process that you think is really the most valuable?
Yeah. I get to work with actors. I feel like my writing is very character centered. And so it's nice to see when the actors, they're really smart and intelligent actors, not just talented actors, but really smart and intelligent actors, really are able to help me deepen and develop the character. Um, and that's amazing. But then also working with the director and the dramaturg because they show me my blind spots,
Mm,
and they also show me new ways of seeing the play with fresh eyes too. So
very cool. Yeah, no, yeah, it's always the blind spots that hit that like surprise us the most.
yeah.
I know I have many of them, and I so fortunate to be able to work with people that I do where they go, "What about this?"
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. Do you have any plans for potential, specifically this play for Monsters after the workshop? Do you have any? You're like, oh, I'm gonna take it and sell it. I don't know. Just asking.
I know I was going to be like, oh, get it produced, but that's everyone's thing. No, but I think that I might enter into like different competitions because I've never done that for the play. But I also really want to use this time or the workshop to or the readings really, the public readings to really be able to almost like reintroduce myself to the DMV theater community again. Because like I was saying, like my I had internships and I worked in the theater community in DC on the administrative side. So I never
Mhm.
really ever like I guess promoted myself as a playwright, even though I was writing plays like doing those jobs. Like I was
Yeah,
writing plays and stuff like that. But no, but I really do hope that this is will give me a chance to reintroduce myself as a
awesome.
playwright.
That's great. That's awesome. I look forward to that as well. Um, and so that's really all the big questions I have for you. I try to end any interview I do with just some random questions to just kind of have a little bit of fun. So I sent you the list. I just want to know. I'm curious. Uh, robots or dinosaurs?
Because of what's going on right now with AI and this chat GPT or whatever, I'm gonna have to say robot because I want them
Oh,
on my side.
okay, on your side, yeah. Trains or planes?
I'm gonna go with trains, even though like planes are faster, but
Hmm.
I like trains. I like
Yeah,
trains. I don't know,
I
but I
I
like
take the
trains.
train anytime I can, especially for like
Yeah.
long trips. I go visit my brother. He lives in Florida, and it's a like 16, 18-hour train ride, but it's
Oh,
so much better. I don't love flying, so
oh.
salsa or guacamole?
I'll have to go with guacamole.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, look, I get it. And the last one, time machine or magic wand?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to go with the magic wand.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to go with the magic wand because
Look,
I can change things in time, and I don't have to go back in
there's
time.
see, I
Yeah,
agree. I thought the same thing. I was like, I mean, yeah, I could travel in time, but I could also just like change it with this magic. I agree. I agree.
right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you so very, very much for your time today. I'm very much looking forward to getting a chance to do this workshop with you. The workshop performance, or I guess the readings dates again are May 19th and 20th, the evening of the 19th and the afternoon of the 20th. Thank you again for your time, and we'll talk again soon.